welcome back for second game of the day of Ireland Esports Collegiate Series. I am OBK99 in case you're just after tuning in. With me is the one and only veteran. We are absolutely hyped off an absolutely banging first game where we had TUD playing UCD, and we are getting ready now to hop into this game where we're going to be SETU Black Ice going up against TUD Apes Silverbacks, and what a fine name from the TUD Apes for that one, I'm going to say.
Okay, but SETU's logo is one of the most aesthetic logos I've ever seen university come up with. Their art department is earning their pay there. Simple, gets the name in there. Stylish, oh my god. Woo.
Yeah, it's something, all right. I mean, Ape's strong, but yeah, that is, to be fair, that's a really cool logo.
It went from Godzilla versus Kong to Kong versus some kind of like elder god, right?
Have you ever seen Neon Genesis Evangelion, veteran?
No, but my girlfriend was talking to me about this like the whole time.
That's it right there. That's the Evangelion.
So like, what happened was like, right, I replayed the whole Mass Effect trilogy just to show it to her, and then she decided that the synthesis ending was basically Neon Genesis Evangelion, which led to a very long talk about some very bizarre stuff. And that is a bizarre logo, but it's very aesthetic. And that appears to be what Neon Genesis Evangelion is. At least that's why I took from the combo. Either way, I have to watch it. She gave a good argument to watch it. I love that logo, though. I do love it.
I've never played Mass Effect myself, but I can speak wonders for Evangelion. And that is an absolute banger of the TV show. Like, it's great. And I have to say that logo is pretty good as well. But yeah, at the moment, we're just getting ready to get into it. So thoughts after that first game, honestly, looking back at it, TUD and UCD, I honestly thought it was going to be a great match, and I was not disappointed. Props to everyone involved in that one, and I think now going to this game, I'm hoping for the same thing, even if it's just a bit of a noodle fight, a big slap back and forth between both these teams. I think it's going to be something, and I think definitely, now that I'm kind of got the caffeine rush off that first game, I'm going to carry that on to this game, and I'm hoping for some big plays, big picks, big damage, big numbers.
Oh yeah, no matter what though, no matter which team ended up winning that game, both teams showed vulnerabilities, right? It's not like TUD Apes are here absolutely invincible in any way, shape or form. There is a playbook to take them down, and that would equally have been true if it was UCD Leviathan here as well. There is a playbook here, you know what they're weakened to, and honestly, if SETU just play a bit more committed game, they go for those all-in picks, which are very, very easy to play, right? And they play a little bit more committed than UCD Leviathan did, they can take the game off TUD Apes, right? Like, it's not like these guys are coming in as an unstoppable juggernaut. It's very intimidating when you get so close to beating someone. They hold on for just long enough, and then they make it look like it was never even close. But it was close. We have to remind ourselves it was very, very, very close. The ape is bleeding. They are primed for the killing stroke. And maybe SETU, with that aesthetic logo, are the ones to do it.
It will be interesting to see as we don't go to the top team here. We're going to go to the Silverbacks. So be interesting to see if they can take a game off them, and if they make it convincing, maybe these arguments could be made against the TUD Apes A team, as we do see a couple of maybe comfort bands around there. The Ari getting taken out, the Nocturne, as well as the Warwick, and we do see a Nautilus locked in there. We've seen a bit of him played recently, I think, in some of these games. I think it's a strong pick. I think he's been played a bit in the play-ins as well, and he does a lot.
Yeah, I mean, hit 6, press R, champ basically plays itself, right? It's one of the easiest champs to play in the game. And, you know, it's a very big, we want to go all in all the time kind of champ. It's very easy to execute on that R, not even a skill shot, and it's a knock-up. Tenacity doesn't do anything to it. You can't really itemize against this thing. He just exists. And yes, technically, you go with the Karma on bot lane, you go with the double shields, right? You should be somewhat insulated against all limbs, but what if you're separated? And we know TUD Apes can be separated at points. What if you overextend on that pressure that you're outputting on bot lane? You don't quite understand the lethals that your opponents have. Kai'Sa is the queen of the kind of composition that you want to play against TUD Apes. Well then, it doesn't matter that you have technically the better picks in the perfect scenario. You're never in a perfect scenario. SETU just have to bring the game into chaos, right? And then they will be the ones with the advantage. I love the picks I'm seeing from them.
Kai'Sa, Nautilus locked in, it's pretty ballsy. A Xerath in the mid lane for a bit of poke damage against this Orianna. could
Oh,
be
I mean,
some
outranges the Orianna. The thing you want to do as the Orianna is to the Xerath out, but a big thing here is that the ranges you're playing into are now very, very, very fishy, right? You do have the Karma that can shield against the all-in, but you don't have anything to heal up the poke. It's actually quite a good scenario to be picking the Xerath. I do view this as quite a difficult champion, but you either are a Xerath player or you aren't a Xerath player. I have to assume if the Xerath's being slammed in like this, their mid laner is a Xerath player, in which case we could be in for a show. Orianna could really be hurting early, and so long as you are just recalling, the Orianna's not going to be able to you out. So recall on that priority, play that mana game until you get to Lost Chapter. The game should be plain sailing from there. And whereas we were talking about all-in, I mean, this guy's damage, if the opponent is locked down, is very, very high in a very short amount of time. He basically qualifies as both a burst champion and a poke champion.
He's pretty good, and I mean, I saw something before about Xerath online where, was it, I'm not sure if you can still do it, but if you set your Kayn, if you're playing Kayn with Xerath and your Kayn ults inside a champion, yes, you can do Xerath ulti and essentially aim hack the ultis as well, which is pretty cool.
Yes. There was a slow feature with Kayn ultis where he basically just became a peel bot for the Xerath, and then the Xerath basically got the guy into the execute range for the second part of Kayn's Iron. That was all very, very funny to watch. Obviously being denied here, they don't want to see that combo happening and they don't want to waste a ban on it. I'm curious about Kayn on 13-2. I'm assuming this is going to be jungle Kayn. I don't think farming champions are as good now. I think the playing field's been kind of made quite even in the jungle, and you're likely to just see heavy gankers. So we're probably just going to see more of that, a safe tank pick like we saw the Maokai in last game. Maybe we could see the Sedge, maybe we could see the Rammus, something like this. What we're seeing from TUD Apes though, this is such a heavy poke composition that we're seeing from them. The Ezreal Karma bot lane. Mwah. My god, you just shove this Kai'Sa Nautilus in, and Ezreal keeps throwing out Qs, Karma keeps throwing out Qs, and they peel for each other there. I do love that setup, but this can go very bad very fast. I love Kai'Sa into Ezreal because if Kai'Sa gets the all-in opportunity, there's no counterplay that the Ezreal has versus against other all-in champions, right? Kai'Sa can go R for his E and then go E for his flash, right? So you don't have the ability to get away like you would against other champions. That's why I love Kai'Sa. And yeah, we are fully committed to the all-in, right? The Camille's going in, the Jarvan's going in, everything here. And, you know, the Ezreal has even less counterplay now. So there is a world where they maintain perfect priorities and they recall, they play back, they play around jungle properly, and they never get all-in. But we know those opportunities exist. That's real, isn't it? That Illaoi is...
Illaoi's locked in. I was kind of a bit curious about it, especially how it fitted into the comp. But, I mean, split push Illaoi.
Let me tell you how it fits in. Karma presses E, Orianna presses E onto the Illaoi. The W comes out from the Orianna. That Illaoi is zooming in and trying to 1v9. There is a lack of range outside of the Xerath on the side of SETU, and that Xerath has to stun lock himself to do any damage, so that range gap can be closed. And in those scenarios, Illaoi is very, very strong. They don't really have good interruptibilities on her here. I think with the double shield composition, the Illaoi could be a huge force to be reckoned with. I actually do like that pick. It's been a while since I've seen it. I'm very curious about how it'll turn out, but they're really relying on this because we don't see any crowd control there, right? It's very soft crowd control. It's basically all slow. Swiftness boots has insane value here. If that Illaoi isn't incredibly strong and isn't able to get in on this composition, everything's going to go very wrong very fast. But that Illaoi potentially just running in there is your bulwark against Ezreal just getting lambasted, against Orianna just getting all-in, because those guys are actually very vulnerable into SETU's composition here. Apes are looking to play a messy game, right? The Apes together strong, and you know, we've all seen Nope, okay? And if you haven't, I really recommend seeing Nope. It was one of the best movies of last year, right? And we know that a messy ape is still a very, very dangerous ape. That is a spoiler-free thing, and yet it will make the movie even better when we get to that point. Trust me.
I'll put it on the list. I'll put it on the list. To be fair, I'm looking forward to this. Both comps do a lot. I think as well, Camille can lock that Illaoi with the Hextech Ultimatum. Maybe if she gets an early lead, gets a couple of kills ahead, shuts down that Illaoi. There's also not too much neither. SETU's comp has a lot of snowball potential as well. You do see Jarvan can kind of do bits in the team fight, and especially Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is an interesting one at the moment. We are seeing a bit of lethality Kai'Sa being played at the moment. The play-ins, you go for the Umbral Glaive first, you go into the Dustblade of Drakthar, and you go into the Nashor Tooth because lethal, or what's it called, Serrated Dirk gives you like key upgrade ultra fast. And I'm kind of interested whether you'll opt for that or just go for the traditional attack speed APAD build.
I actually am not entirely sure what you would want to go here. I think you want to be maximizing as much burst as you can. But the problem is, like, when I look at that and then how you'd want to be playing that off of flanks, is that I see the Ezreal, I see the Orianna, I think you're going to be very, very vulnerable. But this Alawi, right, changes the calculus of that entire thing, because you go into that vulnerable range on Ezreal, and if Alawi is just playing Juggernaut and sat on top of him, then suddenly you're all in the range of one of the greatest Rs ever to occur for the Alawi. So, it's really difficult. So then do you want to go more attack speed based, just play really heavy onto side, pin it that way? And I think if you do that, the rest of your composition's a little bit of a waste. But there's an argument there that you just have the Camille running on side, this attack speed build, and you have Kai'Sa Nautilus in mid lane doing those half roams we were talking about last game in towards the Camille's lane. Because if Camille presses R, then there's a good chance that the Kai'Sa can press the R, that the Nautilus can be there on a delay, that the Xerath can half roam and press R from jungle. All these factors can actually exist there. So maybe just playing around on side and yet not in the Alawi range is the right way to do these things. I think they have a lot of options. There's also that world that we saw last game, where the Ezreal is just a bit too out of position, the Orianna is just a bit too out of position, maybe they don't even get the shields off that they need to do so, and the Alawi is nowhere near, and they just get these picks, because you're out of position even once, Kai'Sa's in, Xerath damage is coming in, the Camille is jumping at you from 2 screens away. It's a very easy composition to abuse those mispositionings, and like we saw last game, that can be defining, so long as you commit all the way through.
It's definitely something to think about, and I think this game is definitely probably going to be spicy early anyway, I'd say that. But that is going to be it for the next few minutes. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be back shortly. We'll see you then. Welcome back to the last game of the day of the Ireland Esports Collegiate Series, powered by natives. I am, as always, OBK99, and with me is Veteran. We are absolutely hyped off this last game. Hopefully, SETU Black Ice and TUD Silverbacks can raise the standard here and maybe even make this a more entertaining game. I'm pretty hyped regardless. It's going to be some pretty spicy stuff early, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, that SETU logo is just so good, man. I really want to see how they end up playing out this late game scenario, right? The moment that Baron spawns, how are they going to continue to set up the map? We're going to be in a brief period, no matter what, where you have a 1-3-1 setup, transitioning into a 4-1 setup, looking to break open side lane towers. But once those towers are down, once those objectives are taken, the question becomes how you play Baron. Do you commit to this Camille split push on bot side, or do you do a split push into flank and keep collapsing into a potential catch, into a potential team fight? That's the big question for me with regards to the Camille Kai'Sa, and it is really all on them. Right? Because I think if they aren't looking to make these proactive plays, then naturally speaking, you have this Ezreal Karma perma pushing, you have this Orianna threat with the Kayn, and you have this Alawi that will just run all over you with the double shields comp here. I think you have to be looking for these openings to end them in a short instant, because any longer than that, and the TUD Silverbacks will find their opening to, you know, send that Leviathan on top side, ironically, into them.
Interesting to note there is that SETU Black Ice, the Kai'Sa did opt to go for Longsword, which is interesting considering the discussion earlier on there about whether you should go Doran's or go Longsword.
Yes, but here the big thing is not about Doran's v Longsword, it's about 3 pots versus 1 pot, and they are into the most poke-heavy bot lane that you can have with an AD carry, the Karma Ezreal lane, right? That lane is going to look to perma-push, that lane is going, well, kind of unsuccessfully this one, that lane is going to look to significantly drop your HP bar on the tower, and if you're not able to take that sustained level of damage with something like triple pots, you're not going to get any good backs. And also, taking the longsword assumes you're going to get a worse back in the early stages of the game, and you most likely should get a worse back here, but you can afford to go back like 2 or 3 waves, 3 waves ideally, earlier than previously, and you're not going to be able to extend in this lane because you are going to be poked. So the pots, they give you that bulwark to stay in lane a bit longer, but the longsword means that if you don't find yourself being able to stay in lane like you would against a non-poke lane, it's not that big a deal. You'll come back with a pretty decent first back regardless.
Interesting. And that does also mean then if she does go for the longsword, she could opt for the serrated dirk as well off that first back and just go straight lethality.
Yep, I mean, especially with the Jarvan and with the Nautilus here that are looking to have really heavy all-ins at that point where you'd have the serrated dirk, I think that would be a brilliant way. I think you'd have a lot of threat around the second Drake if she is going for serrated dirk. Potentially around the first Drake, you could have a lot of threat depending on how this lane goes, given that the first 3 levels have gone really well. And it synergizes very, very well with what your team's identity should be. This top lane, I think we've been being hit by some Ilawis, haven't we, Grotesque Gamer?
It is, I'd say, a very, very fun lane for this Camille. I'd say she's having such a fun time into that matchup. And I'd say they're probably not screaming on mic for their jungler to come top lane 24/7.
Yep. Biscuits being popped by Orianna here. Look at the mana and health difference. Jarvan has to do something here. Has to make
flash on the Xerath to try and land that stun, but it doesn't matter. And first blood though goes over. A flash blown by Orianna as well. But here comes the Kayn over the wall. Ignite comes down. Out comes the W. One auto comes through. Kayn picking up a kill. Maybe he picks up 2 here as Jarvan is super low. But then it's going to be a 1-for-1. Not a bad start for either team there.
There'll be a 1-for-1, and Kayn will pick up the minions, but Xerath is in a much better position lane here. Orianna pretty much has to just all in the lane now and get that wave shoved in so she's not locked into this state against a Jarvan. Jarvan against pretty much any low mobility mage is an absolute nightmare for that mage. Really good that Jarvan went there as well at the point where she did, because the mana and health advantage of Orianna being allowed to stay there would have allowed her to just hard win the lane. Bot lane is going so well for the Nautilus Kai'Sa here. Like, they are just chilling. They're thinking, my God, this Ezreal is dead later on, and they're really dependent on this Illaoi.
Kayn again showing some pretty aggressive plays in this top lane, but we're not done yet. Camille wants something back there, and they're going to chunk out the little copy of Camille, but overall there, that might have been a much better trade for Camille there, considering it was a 2v1 for the side of TUD Silverbacks.
This is a little Jarvan to start up the Drake though, right? You have that definite info that Kayn's top side. You know he can't be bot side in any decent length of time. The only potential issue would be this Orianna, but that's why you have your bot side coming in, and they've maintained priority the whole time. It's almost pointless having this Karma Ezreal if you're not going to be making them live on the tower the whole game, but because you have this Illaoi top, it's quite... they're not going to steal.
Kai'Sa's getting poked out here. Kai'Sa's got ignited, but they do take the dragon. Out comes the Xerath ulti. Going to get one. Can they get one back in response? Oh, the nice shot from the Xerath there, but Jarvan is super low at the moment. Stun not going to connect, but it's a double kill for the support. Probably not what you want for the Silverbacks.
Yeah, I mean, remember what we were saying about the Jason, those standoffs around neutrals, his ability to just keep getting rotations of that Q out over and over again makes him a menace. Same on that Drake with the Ezreal and with the Karma. They'll just keep rotating their cooldowns out and out over and over again. The longer that scenario goes for, the better it is for them. And taking that Drake at these levels takes a long time. That's a long standoff, and you're all grouped together in a way that makes it very easy for them to hit their skill shots. Well played by the Ezreal Karma, they took it slow, but the moment that they knew that they could get lethals, they went all in, and they were able to capitalize very, very well. The Drake does go over to SETU Black Ice, but that could have very easily gone the other way. And, you know, TUD Silverbacks, given how badly the early game was going, they'll definitely take those kills.
2 kills as well. Going onto the Xerath is probably pretty good for him as well. Especially into this Orianna matchup. He's the Lost Chapter as well, so he's not doing too bad at the moment. He's currently even in CS.
Very well.
Yeah, it's not too bad at all, really, for this Xerath. Meanwhile, on the top lane, something might break out here as a bit of a scrap breaking out here between the Camille and the Illaoi. Illaoi super low. Illaoi trying to press the ulti, but the Testafel not going to do anything. Then we do take him out eventually, but we do find the Kayn. Kayn, you were in the enemy jungle, sir. Please get out. And I think they're thinking about who they're going to give this kill over to. They want to give it to someone like Jarvan to the Xerath, which they do manage to do.
Yeah. Xerath able to get it with the last auto there. So 2 things there. One, like, very, very strange by Kayn to be doing that when Orianna was resetting in mid lane and your bot lane just hasn't been maintaining this pressure. Ezreal Khan would have had to, like, shove in another lane and then move in to join if they wanted to guarantee that that invade happens. But instead, you know, Kai'Sa was left alone. Nautilus was able to be there. Xerath was obviously able to be there first, so very interesting setup that happened there. They don't seem to be able to play around this jungle matchup, and you're not as ahead as you would have been beforehand, like we were saying beforehand in the pre-draft on 13-20. On the top side there, I believe what ended up happening was that Camille had bone plating advantage, and people don't quite understand bone plating. They seem to think that it's much more undervalued than it really should be. It's a good thing if you want to be all-inning, because when she had bone plating and Larry didn't, she could go in, get that small window of damage out, and there wasn't really anything Alawi could do because that bone plating was still up, and that allowed her to get that lethal on towards the Alawi. Very good use of cooldowns there by the Camille.
Overall, SETU Black Ice currently ahead in the kills. 3 kills onto the Xerath. So he's currently doing bits. He's got his Sork boots and he's making moves here, as we do see Kane maybe looking for a shutdown here, maybe baiting him into something. Is Kane going to opt for an E over the wall, as Orion is trying to position for a shockwave at the moment here? And here he goes, in comes the E. Can they take him out? He doesn't land the stun. Out comes the shockwave, flash forced, and it didn't go so well for TUD. And it looked like Oriana might go down here as the ulti gonna come out from the Xerath. 1 shot, 2 shot, flash shot, 4, 5 shot taken out the Oriana, and that is going to be, again, a fight breaking out here in this top lane as the test fate coming out here for the Alawi, and she gets a kill back in return.
Yep, no bone plate that time around. The Camille wasn't able to be committed there, and no ultimate up for her rookie mistake. She didn't even have to be up there to contest the wave. She could have just let the wave come in. Jarvan was coming up, but no, instead moved out there and got summarily punished for it. And the win con that TUD Silverbacks needs to be doing well does have a kill. This Xerath, though, he's popping off in the mid lane. Definitely a Xerath player. Obviously, that Drake play that occurred wasn't really like a huge Xerath moment. That was just Xerath doing Xerath things. But that mid lane, the confidence of which he was using his ultimate... Whoa. Kane? Buddy?
Kane?
Buddy? Chum? Mate? Camille is coming out of base. What are we doing?
That was rather unfortunate as the Silverbacks are pushed back a wee bit there.
Yeah, this is a very aggressive game that might want to consider where your opponents are and your team and basically anything, buddy. That's a bit... I respect it. I respect it. You know what? You can't... Yeah, I mean, you can't say that this Kane is scared, alright? If you're scared, you're never going to win. This guy isn't scared of winning. He's going to go in as if he can win every single fight.
Shockwave up. Can maybe do something here. We do see Kane looking aggressive, trying to get something. Who ended up getting that? Was it the Jarvan ended up getting it? But he does have the Cataclysm on cooldown, but it doesn't matter though, as Camille picking up a kill for herself. Oriana on the defensive here. Bot lane not around to lay a hand, but I think they're just going to call it there after taking the rift.
Is this just what you do against TUD Silverbacks? You just pick all-in champions and just assume they'll int at some point? Because it's working, right? And there's much less disengage this time than there was in the last game. There's no Karthus, there's no Fresh, there's no Ornn, none of these things that control these entrances quite so well. It's pretty much entirely on the Orion to control those areas. And she's very vulnerable to the Jarvan's all-in. She's very vulnerable to the perpetual skill shots of these arrows. She has to pretty much burn W off cooldown. But there was an idea that with the changes to the mana costs that you might not necessarily have to go tier anymore, because you didn't really have to be spamming W quite as much. It wasn't as painful. But here, wait.
Solo Bolo?
Yeah.
He died under tower, but it was Cataclysm going to come out here from the Jarvan, looking for a little kill. Xerath going to drop that ulti down. At first one, not sure where he was aiming, but he got him in the end there. Another kill going over to Xerath, and it's looking pretty good for SETU Black Ice.
He had to let him know. He's demonstrating his pixel perfect calculations of the R. He knew he didn't need the first one. He knew he'd get him with the last 3.
He nearly got the dragon there. I was actually quite close.
I respect it. And it's a good response, right? But that Drake is definitely nowhere near as valuable as the singular Hex that SETU were able to get in a similar response play earlier. I think SETU will take that. They've managed to get a kill against the win con. They've continued to snowball the Xerath. Let's see if they can keep holding in on the Xerath's play.
Kane's looking pretty aggressive here. The hook connects under a turret. No stun coming out there from the passive, but we do see Kai'Sa super low. Ignite is down on him at the moment. Can Kai'Sa escape? Big wave coming in here now. Where are they going to look for a tower dive? SETU might want to back off here, but I don't think it matters so much. The hook connects though onto the Kane. He's taking tower aggro. He ultis to try and stay alive. Takes it the Nautilus. Aggro swaps, but doesn't matter. Heal coming out from the Ezreal, but they do get the Kane. Cataclysm is not available. Flash forced. Here comes Xerath though. Looks like he TP'd bot lane for that. That's going to be 2. Are they going to make it a third kill for SETU here? And they also have the Rift Herald, so even after this fight, they can still get something.
Yep, no crowd control. Well, then enjoy TP flank Xerath being an actually viable play here, and the map is being opened up with that Herald use on bot lane. big issue we had. Love this redive. Should be... Oh.
Oriana's here. TP coming through here. Jarvan super low. Flag and drag trying to get out. He's taking minion aggro. One more shot. He goes down.
He's dead. He's dead. Wow. I mean, there's a challenge with casting like Collegiate, with ERL, where every time you want to elaborate on a point that just happened, more stuff happens. But I do absolutely love it, right? If you're talking about development leagues, what you want to be seeing is these fights happening over and over again, because you can teach everything else, right? You can teach slow play, you can teach objective play, you can tell someone not to go in. He's fine. You can tell someone not to go in when they already have the tendency to go in. It's very difficult to tell someone who doesn't go in that they should maybe start doing it more, right? So I do love the tendencies we're seeing from both sides, even though it makes my job a bit harder. Please keep fighting. With that bone plating being gone, I think you should just be waiting for the cooldowns now, and with the aggression Alawi showed, that wave should be fine to you to just wait out the next 45 seconds while your bone plating comes back up.
Interesting note here, Kai'Sa opted for the tier into Mana Moon first item, so blue build from the looks of things, not even lethality.
Yeah, nice. I mean, interested to see how this plays out. They might try to play a more slow game with the double poke, but I think, honestly, their all-ins are really, really strong right now, so I do like opting into that.
Hextech Ultimatum was not actually enough to beat the Test of Spirit there, as Alawi picking herself up a kill, and it's just a noodle fight top lane.
I mean, just didn't need to be fighting on that wave at all. Shouldn't have been worried about the potential for dive there. With the amount of information the enemy had, you were completely safe there. But yeah, just being very, very scrappy. Not necessarily thinking about the bone plating cooldown as much as they think that they should. And that Alawi, you know, she's back on the board. This is a big thing, because the Alawi has effectively got more gold than we're seeing being used, because she's going to be permabuffed by the Oriana, by the Karma later on in the game to give her a lot of additional stats.
Oh, the stun connected there. And out comes the Cataclysm from Jarvan down into the Kayn. But Jarvan is taken quite low here. Oriana doing a lot of damage. The shockwave has bursted. They did actually take out Jarvan, and it looks like Kayn's gonna get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all there for the committal, but Xerath isn't able to do enough burst fast with the initial opening salvo, and then after that, I mean, I don't really know what the plan was there. Obviously, Kayn will do that!
It's a fight breaking out here. The Nautilus ultimately going down to 2. Out comes the Killer Instinct. Ignited Kai'Sa is still doing a fair bit of damage. Eating forward here. Karma trying to get away, trying to just slow down the death. It's going to be a double kill going over to this Kai'Sa.
Here we go. Everybody set up for this Kai'Sa, set up for this Xerath. You needed those 2 kills on the Kai'Sa. 100%. You need this Kai'Sa to be able to one-shot people later. She is the threat against that Ezreal. She is the threat against that Oriana. The Jarvan is the setup, but the Kai'Sa should be your primary assassin here. The slow game favors the Xerath, but the rest of your team wants the fast game, and Kai'Sa, she can play fast and loose now.
And unlucky from Kayn there, did not manage to catch that Kai'Sa, who managed to get that recall off. A lot of items coming into play here. Most mythics purchased. I think everyone besides Nautilus now has a mythic. And at the moment, we do see here Camille pushed under turret. Dragon's up in a few seconds. Not sure what the soul is, though. But we do see something breaking out here in the top lane. Alawi just slapping down a bit of damage there.
Yeah, I mean... Wow, this game. Game is squaring out. So I want to do a comment on this topside thing here. But the initial thing we're seeing is that this Jarvan is like, it's the perfect time to just rush this Drake. Even with Kai'Sa all the way far back. Bone plating is up, but the sustain is there. I think she should have kept going there. She's waiting for the Conqueror to be off of the Alawi. And this flip is happening at the same time. But, okay, the flip on topside did work out. The Drake isn't working out here. The Xerath is getting all of the poke that he needs. Now, on this retreat, if blue team starts up again, the Ezreal Karma haven't dropped much HP. They can just
Kayn's
keep
no
their
HP
poke
right now.
going.
Kayn's nearly dead.
Kayn has none, but the Ezreal Karma can really turn this around if
the
they play
hook
smart.
though. The hook did take out the Karma, and now it looks a bit better for SETU Black Ice here. TP gonna come out. Not sure what happened there, but regardless, that's gonna be a dragon going over to SETU Black Ice. And I mean, TUD just running away.
Yep. There's potential if you play slow there, but the Nautilus was like, no, buddy, we're fighting now, and you're having no choice about it. Drags her in, knocks her up, knocks her back, slows her down, allows for his team, his Kai'Sa specifically, to get the burst that he needs to get to get the kill. If it's slow, and this Ezreal Karma just perma-poked them, you could have just seen the reverse of the initial situation. It was so interesting that the Jarvan chose to go in when he did, chose to start that Drake up when he did. They're turning it into Flits, but they're courting chaos, and in that chaos, the easier to play composition is able to win out.
Alawi is topside right now. Meanwhile, Kane running away. They don't opt to go for, but someone's going in here. Orianna TP. They're looking for the fight. Bit strange there from the Orianna. The flash as well. Stun coming through. Camille goes hyper aggressive there. Kane ulti coming through onto the Camille is ignited. Down goes the Camille, but they're not done yet. Cataclysm comes out. Down goes Orianna, and you do see a serious amount of damage coming out here from SETU Black Ice, taking out the Alawi. Next will be Kane. That is 3 down in a 3-for-1 in favor of SETU Black Ice.
Yeah, so I do think the Herald is a nice thing to be fighting over. Crucially, though, all SETU Black Ice really needed to do was just prevent TUD Silverbacks being able to do something with it, because look how hard they were winning bot side. They were on that tower, they dragged Ezreal there. They are in control of the map in a way that you see Leviathan were not in the last game. They're not just ahead in kills, they are looking to be closing out the game. Being able to get this Herald is big, though, right? That play, yes, it was technically needless, but it paid off in a massive manner. Now that they have the Herald, they can drop this on mid, they can have mid open on towards side, and they can truly start to threaten this Nexus by the time the late game comes around against TUD Silverbacks. I do love the way that SETU Black Ice are playing. I do love the level of control they've maintained here. The Kai'Sa didn't just peel off of bot and go straight for the fight. She was like, we're winning the map, let's keep going. God, Jarvan, why?
Yes, that's what I was about to say there. Jarvan doing great at the moment as he went down, and that is going to be one member of SETU Black Ice currently going down with Baron up soon.
Baron up very soon. 10 more seconds, but the Xerath is up. I don't like the fact that Xerath is bot lane right now. He doesn't have teleport. I think if he was to show on bot lane here, it's very difficult for them to contest. I think you just accept that the Orianna might get some damage out on tower. That tier 1 bot tower is not going to save them the game, and Orianna doesn't have TP. So forcing something on mid, very, very strong idea from SETU Black Ice. I think given all of the options up, that's huge.
Oh, the W comes through from the Kai'Sa there, and we do see Karma getting poked out currently. Yeah. Probably forced to recall. That's a man down already. In the top lane, though, we do see Alawi is fighting for that turret. She's trying to take that tier 2. There's no one really who can match her, and it's currently a 1v1 for Camille versus Alawi, and it looks like Alawi reckons she has better chances of this.
They need to be giving up this bot lane stuff. They need to be collapsing on the Alawi, because if they maintain the map state as is, then TUD Silverbacks are winning. So I do like this grouping, so long as it transitions into a threat on the Alawi here. You have the Nautilus doing the roam, but the Kai'Sa and the Jarvan, they're just walking up on mid lane when there isn't even vaguely a minion wave coming in. The Jarvan's doing it to drop the Herald, but this is what you need to be doing. You need to be
ultimatum.
Alawi.
A lot of damage coming through here. The remaining members of SETU Black Ice roam around, but he did get one. That was good enough. In a 1-for-4, he did take out the Camille.
Yep, and teleport is going to come up for Xerath very, very soon. He's going to be clearing this last wave on bot. As long as he doesn't extend off of this, there is... Okay, what are we doing, buddy?
SETU are going in again. A Cataclysm comes out here onto the Orianna with no flash available. She's gonna go down. Jarvan picking up that kill. Can they get the Karma Killer Instinct coming in from the Kai'Sa? Auto's down, Ignite through. Nothing's going to stop her. Double kill, but Jarvan takes it off her. Says, not today, son.
Yep, Xerath just walked into River on bot side there, as if that wasn't the only place his opponents could be, given all the information that he had, and summarily died for it. Luckily, though, SETU Black Ice finding 2 on mid means that no map capitalization can happen from the side of TUD Silverbacks there. Camille, though, was in base, wasn't able to fix top side. The map is kind of in more of an even spot than it was before, but it could have been much, much, much worse than this, given the Xerath movement on bot.
Pretty tough right now, I'd say, for the side of TUD Silverbacks, because they're clawing their way back into it, but at the same time, that Xerath is so strong at the moment, and that Kai'Sa, currently 2 items, has that Rage Blade completed as well. There's a lot she can do at the moment.
Oh yeah, there is a lot that she could be doing. Pretty much all of it for the purposes of assassination damage, though, because you are against very, very squishy opponents, but not ones such that you can guarantee the one-shot given the amount of shield stacking possible. The thing is, the way the game has been going, they've been playing very wide map states, and they're basically playing 3v3, 2v2 skirmishes, and there, the onboard damage of Kai'Sa, which is going to be exacerbated by her passive and her ability to be able to proc it as fast as possible, that seems to be king here. right? That seems to be king, but they have to make something happen right now. If red team just maintain the map state as it is currently, they're going to win out. And they can play this really slow with the Ezreal, being buffered by the Karma, being buffered by the Orianna. Just play with that Ezreal Karma poke. You already have access into mid lane here. Right now, TUD Silverbacks are loving the state of the game.
We do see a Cataclysm come out there. Xerath's taken out the Orianna. It's very scrappy at the moment, but down goes the Ezreal, down goes the Karma. Kai'Sa is looking super strong at the moment, and he's getting kited out to bits. What will Alawi do? Nothing, because he's got the peel, and he doesn't need to do anything, because Kai'Sa's just taken over this game. Is she going to get it up? A quadra kill over for the Kai'Sa.
Very big. This means that that Baron threat is huge now with the Rageblade build and with all of the itemization she's going to get when she presses B here. That Baron threat is going to be ever present. They needed that to win. Red team win the better position, so blue team had to go in no matter what there, and they were able to make it work. Yes, the Alawi was able to TP in, the Camille didn't TP in there. They were at numbers disadvantages, but the Kai'Sa played it immaculately. The Kai'Sa played it beautifully. The Kai'Sa played it as well as needed for map control to go fully in favor. They're going to press B here, but I don't think it's real that TUD Silverbacks takes the Baron when this B press happens. They do need to be pressing B soon, though. Right, the advantage you just got in that fight, they don't matter until you spend money on it. You don't want to trade your map state for that recall.
Kai'Sa 3k gold up at the moment on the Ezreal. Only a
Big.
full item, and that is probably a Nashor's 2 and a bit in the bank for Kai'Sa.
2.5k for the Kai'Sa to spend in base right now, waiting a little bit. Spends all but 800 of it, is on 3 completed items, and gets the Fiendish Codex there for the CDR. Nashor's Tooth, Rageblade, Mura Manor. That Baron right there is looking very, very nervous right now. Knows that Kai'Sa's coming for the big worm. She's going to be coming in a big way.
I mean, an item up right now, it'd be very hard for the side of TUD, and especially with the amount of peel that she's getting at the moment. A lot of disengaging peel coming out here from that Jarvan, and Nautilus peeling for that Kai'Sa as well. If they just... SETU Black Ice just do what they've been doing so far and just let Kai'Sa take over the fight. Maybe let Xerath get a couple of ulti shots and poke him out from the side. If they just keep that as they're doing it now, TUD Silverbacks really can't lock down that Kai'Sa without something like a shockwave.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, play with your Xerath in towards this Baron. That's what I think. I think the map setup right now is really wrong. You need to get Camille on bot and you need to get Xerath on top, because if all the vision vanishes around Baron, they need to be moving in. Look how fast this Kai'Sa's going to do this Baron now that she's on it. Look, it's already going down. Every 1,000 is less than a second going down right now. They can do this very, very fast, and it should be forcing a play, and Xerath needs to be here for it.
X-Tech Ultimatum gonna go down onto that Alawi.
Nice.
The Leap of Faith not gonna do anything as legendary Kai'Sa, but Baron is still alive. 1.2k, and it got stolen by Red Team. TUD get it, but the Cataclysm comes out. Are they gonna get away? They do lose their jungler. 3 members alive. Make that 2. Can we make that 1? Maybe, as the ulti damage coming through from the Xerath. Not going to take it out, and it looks like she might just about get away. 2 Barons, or oh, maybe not. Make that. Nope, 2 Barons. 1 Baron. One going once, going twice. No, not sold, not sold. Oh, it's all over. That's the Baron gone.
That is the Baron gone, and you know, God was favoring TUD Silverbacks, but unfortunately, SETU Black Ice, blessed with that Elder Divine being in their logo, they were able to take it. They're going to get 2 inhibitors down now. Very good use of the amount of Baron threat that you have with Kai'Sa on those items. And Nashor's Tooth Ragewave Merman Kai'Sa build eliminates Baron, inhales that Baron ASAP, and they played with that threat. They did play with a weird map setup that gave potentially too much openings to TUD Silverbacks, and the Kane was able to grab that Baron, but the map, like, you cannot say it's in favor of anybody but SETU Black Ice. They just have too much threat in these fights with the amount of damage they have. This game began with a 4-kill Xerath, but it has evolved into an 11-1-5 Kai'Sa, who's well and truly hit her late game spike. Okay, not sure about going anything but stopwatch here, alright? We've gone with the Seeker's Arm Guard, but, you know, I respect it. I think right now, though, is the state of the game where you just want to be buying stopwatches because you're looking to close on the next fight. That stopwatch gives you 2 HP bars, way more value than that Seeker's Arm Guard does. Fortunately, we're not seeing any stopwatches right now, so there is still an avenue. It's not a 2 HP bars situation. TUD Silverbacks can engage on the mispositioned Xerath, engage on the mispositioned Camille, engage on the mispositioned Kai'Sa. But it's very unlikely right now that those scenarios happen. This is a really good map setup, by the way. They have the Xerath bot side, they have the Camille top side. The next objective is the Drake. The Xerath's going to be able to move into the river first, and the Camille is the one that's going to be able to take advantage of TP flanks. And that's kind of how it should be. This is very much Fortress SETU on this Soul.
Orianna is going towards that top side, and I think they might need to put someone to match this Camille, otherwise they might lose a turret or two here. We do see the Karma Ezreal hovering around that bot side. Meanwhile, though, SETU Black Ice have some serious control over that dragon with that Kai'Sa, pretty much just a walking killing machine at that point. We do see the TP from the Camille. It does go through. A lot of damage coming out here. Can they get something? Out comes the Hexaculamatum on to the Karma, but it doesn't matter as Alawi trying to do something back. They take out the Camille. They're looking for a kill back in response. They do get the Alawi, but that Ezreal ult is going to connect onto the Kai'Sa. Down comes the W, and that's a lot of damage from a lot of AP. Kane ulti coming through. Down goes Nautilus, though. And I mean, it's looking fairly hairy here for the side of SETU Black Ice so far, but TUD Silverbacks super low. A lot of damage coming through. Kai'Sa's still alive. They take out the Kane. Is she going to take out the Ezreal? Yes, she does, but not without a bit of help from that Jarvan, who gets the last hit. And there's 2 more members remaining for the side of TUD, and it might just be it. They're chasing down this Orianna. Kai'Sa super low, but it does not matter. I think this might just be the game.
The side set, the flash away, going into the flush to cancel, the auto attack and guarantee that last little bit of damage from the Ezreal never happens. And killing the Ezreal. Greed was Ezreal's downfall. That was his deadly sin. And SETU Black Ice, they take the game against TUD Silverbacks. Beautiful. That's that kind of committal all the time. That is what we wanted to see. Last game from Leviathan, the playbook was written in that game, though, right? You see TUD Silverbacks very vulnerable to the exact same... Oh, Silverbacks in the 8th. That makes sense. You see them very vulnerable to the exact same kind of all-in tactics that got the lead for the Leviathans in the last game. They learned the lessons properly. In this one, SETU did, but they were able to carry it all the way through. They didn't give up map control for their kills. Yeah, the map setup could have been a little bit better in late game, but by then they were very firmly able to close out.
I think Kai'Sa played really well, and especially considering that game started so heavily with a couple of kills onto the Xerath, and maybe even just a couple of misplays there as well early on by SETU. It just worked out so well, and I think especially the fact that Kai'Sa, I actually think the build worked out a lot better than if she had just gone that serrated Dirk Lethality build, because with the amount of items she built, she managed to get the QW and E-Evolve, and the game stalled late enough where she could get all 3 and still have the kind of damage potential where she could just burst Baron with just 10 or so seconds. And I think really that was a big factor in getting that Baron quick and then starting those fights immediately. And I just think SETU Black Ice played that about as well as they could micro-wise.
I mean, they had a really good setup if you're able to get on the Baron first, right? If you're able to threaten the Baron, you have turn and you have burst. Those are the big things you need to have a good Baron team, but they also had somebody who's able to threaten Baron and force that position. So there would always be a favorable position if they were able to start the Baron. The Kai'Sa guaranteed that the pressure was on. There was no window for the Ezreal Karma to just poke them off of the Baron, because that Baron's going down far too fast. It forced the hand of their opponents. So yeah, I like the Kai'Sa build for that.
I mean, for 2 games of today, I think they were both explosive, and really it was just good quality stuff. I have to say, for a veteran coming in here, they really whipped out the quality for these 2 games. I could have been seeing a noodle fight top lane, and we could still be watching a 0-kill game at the moment, but no, that is not how it ended up. And I have to say, I think props to the lads. They gave us some good League of Legends to watch. And I think on that note, lads, I have been OBKin09. Thank you so much to Veteran for joining us for this. This has been Ireland Esports Collegiate Series. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Good night.